Hey guys, so today I'm here with my May wrap-up. I read 11 books in May, so I'm really happy with that. I read some really good books this month too, so I'm really excited to talk about a lot of these. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I finished in May, I read most of it in April, was Scarlet, Epstein Hates It Here by Anna Breslau. This is about a girl named Scarlet Epstein who lives in New Jersey, and she writes fan fiction about people in her school. And one day it kind of gets out that she's writing this and people get upset about it, and she's having to deal with the consequences of all that. I liked this book. I didn't love it. It came in my uppercase box, so it wasn't something that I would have just picked up, probably. It was just okay for me. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Crown by Kira Cass. This is the 5th book in the Selection series and like the 2nd book in the spin-off section of the series. And the final book, the conclusion, and I really liked the way this ended. I was really happy with who she picked in the end. It was a good book. It was probably my least favorite of the series, though. I felt it was kind of rushed at times because it's super short. It's not even 300 pages. And I feel like she could have fleshed things out a little bit more and made it longer. And I usually don't wish that books were longer, but this is like one instance where I do wish this book had been longer. But I still really loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, maybe more leaning towards like 4.75, but I gave it a 5 on Goodreads, and I'm really happy. I hope that there's another epilogue, because there was an epilogue to this, but it didn't make me as satisfied as I wanted to be, so I hope she writes maybe some more novellas. But yes, great ending to a great series. Next I read The Land of 10,000 Madonnas by Kate Hattemer. This book is about a boy named Jesse who is dying, and his dying wish is for all of his friends to go on this like road trip / backpacking trip in Europe. He leaves them each plane tickets, but he doesn't really tell them what he wants them to do in Europe, and so these 5 people, they didn't know each other before, and so they kind of have to get to know each other. They're very different from each other and everything. Very interesting cast of characters, and the writing in this book is beautiful. I really liked her writing style. I didn't like this book as much as I wanted to. As soon as I heard Europe and like road trip, I was like, yes, I need that. But I don't know, it just didn't quite live up to what I wanted, but it was still really good. I would recommend it if you like these kind of road trip self-discovery books, and I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next up is Lady Renegades by Rachel Hawkins. This is the 3rd book in the Rebel Belle trilogy, and I didn't really like this as much as the other 2. The first one was really good, the second one was not as good, and this one was just kind of not as good either. Honestly, I think I would have liked it more had I read these like back to back, but I read this like almost a year after having read the second one, and it was just kind of like, it was hard getting back into the world, I think, but it was a good conclusion. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, who is one of my favorite authors, and this book did not disappoint. It's about a girl named Andy who's the daughter of a politician, and there's a big scandal with her dad, and so all her summer plans that she had just completely go out the window, and she has to figure out what she's going to do. She's a very, like, planning ahead person like I am. I'm a lot like that, and doesn't like to have her plans disrupted, which is totally me too. And she ends up walking dogs for the summer, and through it she meets this guy named Clark, and a romance develops, obviously, and it was just really good. This honestly is probably my least favorite of her books, which is not saying much because I still obviously really loved it. She's one of my favorite authors. She can do no wrong. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend anything by Morgan Matson. She's just so good, and just read Morgan Matson. That's all I can say. Then I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. This is the prequel book, but it's like a collection of novellas that are set before Throne of Glass. And so it was really cool getting to know Selena's life before Throne of Glass, and Sam, who's a character that gets mentioned. It was pretty good. Some stories I liked more than others. Overall, I really liked it, and of course, you know how it's going to end, and the entire time I was just like, my heart was breaking because I knew exactly what was going to happen at the end. But I would recommend this if you want to find out more about Selena's backstory. I'm kind of slowly making my way through this series. It's not my favorite series ever, but I want to know what happens, so Next up, I'll be reading Heir of Fire, because I heard to read this before Heir of Fire. Excited to see how it continues and where the story goes next. And I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Party Princess by Meg Cabot. This is the 7th book in the Princess Diaries series. I've just been making my way through this series. They're super, like, quick, fun reads. And I really, really like this one. I know a lot of people say that they think this is kind of just like a filler book. It doesn't really add much to the series. But I mean, I felt like that was probably the case, but it was a lot of fun. Mia's just dramatic as usual. I just really like her character. And I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Hearts, Fingers, and Other Things to Cross by Katie Finn. This is the 3rd book in the, like, Broken Hearts, Fences, and Other Things to Men trilogy. It's just a fun trilogy. It's about a girl who wants to get revenge on one of her former best friends, and it's a fun series. This was a good conclusion. It was a lot shorter than the other two, which I kind of wish there had been more. I really liked this book. It was really entertaining, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Princess on the Brink by Meg Cabot. This is the 8th book in the Princess Diaries series, and this was one of my least favorites of the series. Mia is super obnoxious in this book. I know a lot of people say that. And the way it ends, you're just like, Mia, you're so stupid. But I've heard the next one's better, and I really want to keep going on this series. I only have 3 books left, which makes me kind of sad. But yes, I give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This is about a girl named Lena whose mother dies, and it was her mother's dying wish for her to go to Italy to meet and get to know her father. And while she's in Italy, she gets her mother's old journal, and she finds out that her mother has secrets from when she lived in Italy, and she's trying to kind of unravel the mystery behind them. And it was really, really good. The only complaint I had was the main character I felt was a little bit just... Some of the decisions she made kind of were just like, no, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do this? And, I mean, I understand, like, the way it had to work for the plot, but she kind of just irked me a little bit. But I gave this a 4.75 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it. It's set in Italy, and Italy's, like, one of my favorite countries ever, and I really liked the setting. It's in Florence, which is actually a city I've been through but never, like, explored. I've been to the train station there, but that doesn't really count. But I really, really want to go back to Italy now and see Florence, and that was probably my favorite part of this book. I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're into books that are set in Italy. And the last book I read was Girl Against the Universe by Paula Stokes. This is about a girl named McGuire who believes that she's cursed because when she was 11, she was in a car accident and she was the only survivor, and she walked away with, like, barely a scratch. And then another time she was on a roller coaster and it derailed and injured everybody on the car except for her. And so she thinks that she's, like, cursed, and that if she's ever in a situation, bad things are going to happen to the other people. But one day her mother tells her that they've been invited to go to Ireland for a memorial service for her father, who had passed away in the car accident, and she really wants to go, and so she's determined to get over her fears of, like, being in crowds and everything in order to go to this memorial service. And so she joins the tennis team. She meets this guy named Jordy, who's this, like, famous tennis player, and he's trying to help her with her, like, tennis skills and everything. It's just a really good book. It's a good message about you can't control everything. Some things just happen and you can't do anything about them, and I really liked that about it. Definitely really recommend this book. I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars. So that's all the books I read in the month of May. What did you read in May? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye!